for Suba North and as child rights advocate, I want to raise the case of Claire Mary Paul, who was identified and spent 4 months, and she's a Form 4 student. And then after she was identified, she was dropped. When they were about to go, and new people picked. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying as a child rights advocate, because you may have actually destroyed somebody's life permanently, while you are saying that you are actually trying to nurture sports. Is it not then self-defeating? If you are wondering why we only have rugby that is doing well, if we can actually identify young people and destroy their futures by creating hope and dashing those hopes. And is one of the things that was said is they will be included, the girls who are left out. Is she still being included, even though as a spectator? And what do you have for her future? And finally, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to know if you're still building a facility in Suba North for a sports academy.
Yes, member for Tetu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first of all is to congratulate the Minister for assuming his new role of, in the Sports Ministry. Mr. Speaker, I applaud the Minister for his intention to complete all our incomplete stadiums. But if I got it right, he mentioned that Ruring'U Stadium, the only stadium of meaningful stature in Nyeri, is at 75% complete, if I heard the number right. And I don't know whether the Minister has been misled or he chose to mislead the House, because it is actually very close to a forest. This stadium started in 2017, and to the best of my estimate, and I've consulted some of my colleagues on phone from Nyeri, it is nothing more than 25% complete. I would like the Minister to maybe lead the relevant committee of the House to go to Ruring'U and ascertain whether the statement he has made in this House is correct. If not, he would rather withdraw and say he doesn't have the facts, because indeed Ruring'U is not in the state that he has mentioned. 260 million has been sunk. The tartan that was put there 7 years ago is completely worn out. The artificial turf is completely worn out. The VIP, dyers and the rest is nothing more than 20% complete. So, Waziri, I think you have misled this House. Maybe you need to correct yourself. Thank you.
Honorable Basil.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, the CS, for a very comprehensive response to so many questions. As a member of this Committee of Sports, I would like to know what measures do you have to manage doping and end cheating? Number two, issues of corruption have dominated the ministry. So what are you going to do to manage corruption and to ensure we have progression in the ministry?
How do you manage corruption?
To eradicate.
Eradicate or manage?
No, you don't manage, you eradicate corruption.
Because you ask him how he will manage corruption.
No.
Minister, do you have talents to manage corruption?
Yeah, because that question is tied with the stolly projects. We have so many stolly projects, and the main issue is corruption. Thank you.
Yes, Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Waziri. Honorable Speaker, Waziri is also the most valuable player on the football field for Bunge FC as the striker. Congratulations. Number one question, Waziri, you have mentioned the several stadiums that you are developing around the country and even the city. But one point stands out glaringly, that you are forgetting the mother stadiums of this country, and you've said nothing about them. I will give you two. And you ably said that Wembley has a historical background, just like City Stadium. I don't know where you put City Stadium, where we grew up from and what developed the talents from Eastlands and all those players who are the greatest. And then you have forgotten Buhungu, which you indicate is being built. But when I pass by Buhungu, there's nothing going on. And those were the original developers of talent under Chris Makoha. I was a beneficiary of Chris Makoha himself while at Kakamega. So therefore, where's the place of those old stadiums? Number two, what plans are underway for you to build the stadium you promised us in Vihiga? Vihiga County has got no stadium completely. And then there was the suggestion for Kidundu and Mumboa, and you have mentioned nothing about it. Lastly, Waziri, so many Kenyans were winning gold during the election, during the Olympics. But those Kenyans, you see, this name is Keter or Kipketich, and then all of a sudden you realize this person is a Canadian. What is happening that the best athletes are running for other countries and not Kenya? Thank you.
Member for Kamukunji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and I'll wanted just to tell the Minister, Murkomen, that a very...
Why aren't you upstanding?
I have, you know, I have disabilities and I have a broken, broken leg. So,
Okay.
is it all right?
Go ahead, but I've previously seen you stand up to talk. That's why I'm asking. But go ahead. I know your disability.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I wanted to, first of all, tell the Minister that a very important and a large local soccer tournament, the Kamkunji Peace Tournament 2024, is taking place in my constituency at the moment, bringing in 48 teams from across the 5 wards. But the conditions in which they play, the field in which they play, the fields in which they play are in a very bad condition. And my new Kamkunji is one of the districts or constituencies that produce some of the best football talent that we have in this country historically. I just wanted to see whether there is any contribution that your ministry could make for the large number of urban youth in our capital city, a capital city of 5 million people. What can your ministry do, and what plans does your ministry have in terms of enhancing, nurturing, promoting, and building this great talent within our youth and within our communities? The second element is also whether you could come out, perhaps as you do with other sports. For example, I've seen you're a very enthusiastic marathon person. Maybe one of these days you should also come and see some of our youth playing out in the field so that they can see that there's a commitment to promote and encourage young people in sports.
Thank you. Lelmengit, let's take those 7, then you answer. We'll do another round, members, so hold your horses.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. First, I would like to thank the CS for answering and elaborating some of the issues raised. I know he has mentioned the issue of incomplete stadiums, but I wanted to ask him on the issue of, there was an advert for development of Kapsabet Stadium, construction of Kapsabet Stadium. The advert that ran out on 26th October last year. It was advertised, it was tendered, and we were still waiting for the tender processes, evaluation, and whatever. But up to date, I don't know what stopped in between. And I know the project was for financial year 2023-2024. So I presume that the funds were available then. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, recently we have had several suicidal cases among us, the young athletes, particularly in Nandi County. Late last year and early this year, we've lost a number of them through suicide. Is there a plan for the government or the CS to set up psychosocial support desks, probably in every county, so that we can always, these people can get some advices whenever they have problems, guidance, and such kind of issues? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, you can answer those 7. Then we will pick another round.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start with, I think it was Honorable KJ. Yes. Mr. Speaker, through the Talanda Stadium facility now is developed to an international stadium standard. It's being developed to the international stadium, and it was a playing ground for the for your constituents. But it was not an official playing ground. Let me start from there. It was still land allocated to an institution. It could still have been built anything else. The only good news that you have is that your ward will be the host of the best stadium probably in the continent. It's a neighboring ward. Okay, yeah. Then you are even invading another ward. That's even worse. But at least you'll be neighboring a very important facility that will bring business to your neighborhood. Number 2 is that outside the main stadium, there are 3 training pitches. There will be 3, 2 with running tracks, and the other one is purely football pitch. Again, in terms of business and employment, it will benefit the people who are living in the neighborhood. We believe also the facilities will be improved infrastructure, which will touch your ward up to Lenana and all the way to the Kibra ward. Yes, and the plan therefore is to, that's why I was coming. Maybe the plan is to say, with Sports Kenya, how can these training pitches be accessed by children and even players who have who are the bottom of the pyramid? They do not have the capacity to pay a higher fee, and that should be, we should work out that plan as we develop this facility. I am not aware, insofar as the question of employees not coming from your ward. I suspect there may be some, because there are 2,000. 2,000 is a huge figure. And at the optimum, they will be having 3,000 people working at and they work day and night. I don't suspect that possibly with the minimum skills to work there that people will miss from your ward. But we will make sure that in the remaining 1,000, maybe to tell the contractor to make sure that it takes care of the people around. And that is the case for every project of government, including the housing project. And I hope that can be followed through. The other promise I can make is that perhaps we can speak to the contractor. Coming from your presentation here, I am thinking that we can speak to the contractor to help you put a sports academy within the neighborhood of Lenana Primary School, the new school you've built, so that it can also help as part of their CSR to extend a facility to that very important school. And I will undertake that endeavor, not because you are my friend, but it's the right thing to do. It's because the right thing to do. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable KJ also raised the question of FKF elections and the eligibility of those who have held office for more than 2 terms. A letter went out from the registrar expressly to FKF that only those, no one will run for the same office more than 2 terms under the Sports Act. And that is very clear. And I believe that the officials of FKF who are holding office now, if they want to run for office, maybe to run for a different office other than the one they have served for more than 2 terms, so that we can keep within our legal standards, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Emilio Diambo.
Mr. Can you give an assurance to the country that you are actually going to sort out our football?
Mr. Speaker.
We were a better footballing nation 20 years ago than we are today because of sheer mismanagement of football in the country.
I have made it clear.
And when we were vetting you, you gave us that assurance. Can you assure this House and the country
Mr. Speaker,
that you are going to sort out the mess in football and take back Kenya to its level as a footballing nation?
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Sports operates, especially for sports, through the federations. So sorting football is sorting the federation. And the election process that we are undertaking, Mr. Speaker, we want to be as transparent as possible to make sure that those who come in will make sure that they follow the narrow path, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that our football is managed well. Beside that, we will of course play our part as government to support nurturing of talent in the football sector and to make sure that the Harambee Stars team is also facilitated enough to prepare well for tournaments. But what is extremely important is to make sure that the management of sports, including football, Mr. Speaker, is going to be as professional as possible to open doors for as many young people to play a role as, in this sector. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Millie Odhiambo has raised a very important question touching on Claire Maris, our daughter who comes from her county. And Mr. Speaker, I want to allay the fears that people have that there was unfair selection of sports team. Far from it, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, in the sports sector, you can be doing very well today. And when final selection for a tournament is done, you may not meet the cut. Three of our